Yeah. All right. Welcome today to another episode of Welcome to the Winner Circle. On today's episode, alongside co-host Bianca Léger, I interview a mother, a photographer, an international creative soul based out of Panama. She's the creator of women's photography workshops, where she empowers women to create and capture beautiful photography. And she's also the brand ambassador for Lululemon and Pic-Time. Use the code Winner Circle to save 15% off her photo 101 course. Welcome to the Winner Circle, Monique Pantel.
Thank
How's it
you,
going?
Derek.
Hello.
It's
Can you hear us?
it's really good. Yes, I can hear you. It's so nice to see you, and Bianca, so lovely to meet you. Thanks for having me despite my shaky Wi-Fi connection. I live, like Derek said, deep in the jungle in Panama, which is amazing for a lot of things, but Wi-Fi is not one of them. So
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah, we'll do our best, and let's get this started. And the goal of this podcast is really to uplift, inspire, and empower listeners to move forward with greater faith in themselves on their journey ahead, which I know you're a big believer in. So the first question is really a very positive one, and that is, Monique Pantel, what do you love about your world right now?
Oh my gosh, what do I not love? Everything, honestly. Uh, my world right now is so beautiful. The only thing I think I really miss is my family and friends back home. But my parents were here in August, so a few months ago, and they came for a month and they got to meet their grandson. My partner's incredible. I feel so um, aligned with the work that I'm doing. There's a lot of different sort of like facets to it. Um, but that just feels so incredible. This is my first year as a mother. Last year, or I guess this year in January 4th, Noah was born, my son. And yeah, it's been spectacular. So yeah, if I can reflect on my world right now, it's it's incredible. Very happy, very
Mm-hmm.
grateful. Yeah, I'm living like a very simple life, but it's beautiful and feel
Mhm.
really aligned and really
Mhm.
connected with.
Mhm.
So, Monique, tell us what brought you out to Panama. How did you end up where you are now? What did that look like? How did your journey take you there and to the life that you live now?
Yeah, yeah. So, so initially I came here for work. So you had mentioned I'm a photographer. So I've been shooting um, mostly like love and weddings and connections. And then when I'm shooting commercial work, my sort of specialty is in the wellness space. So there's a beautiful resort um, in this tiny town called Sansara, and they're world renowned. And they were having a yoga teacher training. So I came down for work a little bit, and then a little bit of a yoga escape of a very busy photography season at like old castle in a tiny town in Portugal. It was so cool. And this job came up, and I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll jump on it." And I'm so happy I did because it truly just changed my life entirely. When I was leaving, I don't really like cry when I like leave something or, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of like, okay, on to the next thing. But when I was leaving, actually, I think yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of leaving Panama for the first time. I cried, so certain that I would be returning to this place specifically. The 1 week peg from the owner of Sansara saying, "We're doing a rebrand and we're obsessed with your photos. You captured our like who we we are and what we represent so well, would you come back in 5 weeks to shoot our entire rebrand? So yeah, after I left, I was back here for a week and a half. And then we planned 2 months out here and go surfing and so was the two things that I love so much is photography and yoga. And I somehow stumbled upon my soulmate.
Oh my God. I don't know how it was for you, but for me, the sun was cutting off a little bit. I think what I got is that the sequence of events that happen in your life, they're all in link with your passions, but did you ever foresee how it would unfold, or it was kind of one organic thing leading to another and you just saying yes to things, or you had to kind of force things to happen to get to where you are now? It sounds like it was more this like flowing thing saying yes.
Oh, it was a flow. It was like me declaring to the universe exactly what I wanted in my life, and somehow in the most beautiful way, it unfolded in a way that I couldn't even write. Like, how do you write a pandemic to sort of, have you hunker down in one spot long enough to, create a beautiful baby and create a beautiful life? And there were challenges in there, of course. Like, I wasn't able to come back to Canada. I had to rearrange a bunch of work. Planned for 2020. That was incredibly challenging, and yeah, but it all sort of worked out and it unfolded. So
Beautiful. That's so amazing. I have one question. You said that you asked the universe. Did you actually write down everything you wanted specifically, or it was just more like dreaming on the feelings and just visualizing a lot?
oh no, it was like Bianca, it was 2 years ago, was so potent and so transformative for me. I sat in a circle with 28 other women, and we all declared like what we want in our lives moving forward. We had this beautiful like releasing ceremony. We drank cacao, and yeah, I really put it out exactly what I wanted to create into my life, and that's what the new moon is all about. Is saying your intentions out loud and what you would like to create usher into your life, and that's where it all unfolded. And I wish I had hours and hours to tell you. There's so many beautiful stories. I'm actually like writing a little bit of a memoir. Got 20,000 pages, but it doesn't even cut it. So.
Oh my God. I'm excited.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
So your memoir is like you telling the story of how you got to Panama and do your life story sort of thing?
Kind of, yeah. I would say it's an unfolding. It's a story of that I think resonates with a lot of women, is just listening to your intuition and trusting that what your heart is telling you is true, and to follow it, because from my experience, the most beautiful things can come from that. Yeah.
So
That's
Monique,
so
one thing that many encounter on this path of following their intuition is fear. Can you talk about your relationship with fear and how you've used fear as an ally rather than an enemy?
Yeah, of course. Oh man, fear's the worst. So Yeah, fear had me stuck for a long time in a lot of situations. I think, in life, you feel sort of beholden to, whatever situation you're in, scared to make a move, scared to move laterally, scared to move forward, scared especially to move backwards. That's a huge fear. What will people think? What will it's so funny. This is exactly what I've been talking about on my Instagram stories. I'd ask people to share, like what holds you back. And a resounding answer from people is fear. But one of my favorite books is written by one of my favorite authors, Elizabeth Gilbert, and she says that she talks about fear in the way that like you can allow space for fear, and there is like a place for it, but it's almost like you allow fear to be in your passenger seat and not the driver's seat. So you acknowledge that the fear is there. I see you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you, but I'm actually driving. And you can be here, but I'm gonna drive drive the bus, And I love that.
Yeah.
Bianca
I
and
remember
feel like
specifically. I'm so sorry. I'm so excited. I love Liz Gilbert as well, and I remember that. It's so true. I'm sorry. Please keep going with that thought.
Oh my gosh, don't say sorry. But this is like the reaction you want, right? It's like for it to resonate. And I think that when she wrote that, it says, we are like there, we get in our own way. And the moment that you kind of step out or step past your fear creates so much more space to allow, other things in your life to unfold. So yeah, fear is real and it's big. And a lot of mine have been in the past around money, even though I've been working for myself for so long. And I feel like actually I'm really kind of turning a new sort of point around that too. Like my biggest fear in life was to be like, sort of the sole provider of like a family and a mother and death. And what does the universe give me? Provide for your family, be a mother, have a baby in a foreign country, don't speak the language. Like, I mean, you couldn't come up with like a bigger, like, what do you call it? Like a pot of it being so tricky because my partner he lost a lot of work, if not all of his work, in the pandemic. So it really was just sort of like, here you go, rise, sink or swim. But through that, I've been working through a lot of, what my beliefs around creating abundance for myself are. And yeah, I feel like I'm leveling up, and it feels really wonderful. And the things that I want to create moving forward, I can see them moving faster. Like, the more I sort of open myself up to what I want to create in the world, and the more that I say it out loud, the faster, like the more things are sort of like coming into my life and making it possible faster for me to create these things. So it's really cool to see like the correlation of just me really like opening myself up and then seeing the possibilities of, one of my biggest dreams is to create a women's artist residency. Nothing big, but just something really amazing, a soft place to land for women to come and create and have space here in Panama. And yeah, so it's been so cool to kind of see that process move along much faster than I had ever imagined. So yeah, fear, that's how I feel about fear.
Yeah. So you've been granted an amazing opportunity to transcend a lot of fear. And I don't know if that's a question you wanted to ask next, Derek, but I've been really excited to talk to you about creativity, because you talk about being a creative and affirming yourself as so. And I've personally been stepping into that. So I'd love to know what were your first steps? And I'm also interested, they're like two different topics, but I would also love to talk about how you really invited more abundance into your life. So I don't know, go with the topic that you feel most excited about right now.
Totally. Well, so creativity is like, oh, it's everything. Like I just I don't know if it's just, the time in my life or where I am or, on my journey, it's kind of led me here. But now, like looking back and having perspective, it's always been sort of, the path that I've been on. But it's interesting because it's so correlated with like fear and I guess the first like getting out of my own way was becoming a photographer in general. Like initially when I wanted to start, I was so fearful of like what other people would think. I was scared that I wouldn't be talented. Like all these things are not true, Like, scared what people think, scared I would not be talented, scared I would not make money. What else? Scared people wouldn't want to book me. What do you know? It's like all of this like chatter in the back of your mind. And what's even crazier is that my dad is a photographer. Like growing up, that was his work, and like I saw him do it. Very different. It looks very different from my career from his. But um, it's crazy that even though I had someone very for life that was living creative, um, but the moment the book, The Artist's Way, I talk about it all of the time. That book changed my life, and I think it was in when was it? 2000 something. Years ago, I did The Artist's Way for the very first time, not just like playfully, like, oh, week 1, week 2. Like I did the entire thing and I took the 3 months to really intentionally do it. And I look back at that old scribbled book and I think everything has come through. Like everything that I had planned for, that I had intentionally sat on, wanted to create into my life had happened. And so I know, oh yeah, I know it's so good. And I just recently, over the past, I don't know, maybe like 5 months ago, I bought a fresh copy of The Artist's Way because I need to do it again. And I don't know if I've coined this term, but I think it's a real thing. It's like the idea of the fifth trimester. So you have like 3 trimesters of having the baby. The fourth is postpartum, 3 months of just adjusting to having new life in your hands. But after that, I had the biggest bubbling, roaring burst of creativity of my entire life. Like I would sit down and like the things that would come out of me are just like, and it's still like that. I still feel like I'm in this like moment of massive creativity and connection to, source, whatever you want to call it. Like I wrote a children's book just sitting down and it's the most beautiful thing. And I don't have time to publish it or anything like that right now. And that's okay. Like the important thing to me, I think, is just to create and let that energy sort of flow. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I think like the moment that I really just accepted, I did the work with The Artist's Way, and the moment that I really sort of integrated my spiritual practice with allowing my creativity to flourish and like bloom, that's where things really started to spark. And then I have talked to many mothers after their children who have had a little bit of space to create and they felt the same way. And then that becomes another challenge, is like finding time to be able to tap into all of this creative energy. But yeah, that's what I have to say about creativity.
Yeah, wow. I resonate so much with this. Yeah. You overcame so much. And it's so true that when you start creating, it's like it gets that flow going and it's so therapeutic. Yeah. And what about abundance in your life? How did that start manifesting?
Yeah, so ooh, well, I live a very simple life here and I like it like that. Like
Mhm.
it's really just a nice, quiet life. So we don't need much. But ushering in abundance, I managed to secure around the same month that I went to Panama this incredible contract, doing 20 hours of work a week of work in the creative field, and it's totally aligned with what I believe. It's just been amazing. So I think there was part of me really resisting stability. Like, I think that there's this narrative that if you're going to be a creative, it has to be all or nothing. You have to be a full-time painter and sell all of these things and not have any other gigs. But I don't think that that's the truth, because I've found a lot of relief and just like a breath with work that really resonates with me, that's still creative, but it's just sort of stretching my other creative muscles. And then I still had space to do photography, to teach creative workshops, to be writing a lot. Yeah, so that, I would say that was just incredible, just to sort of allow myself to have a little bit more, I don't want to call it stability, because it was just, or consistency. That's what it was. That, and then for so long, it's so funny, like for so long I was putting off bringing my photography workshops into the world. I'm so proud of them. I've been teaching them for over 5 years. I've got thousands of students at this point. But I've always taught it in real life, because for me, like, being on Zoom it's hard. Like, I love being in person. I love hugging. I love eye contact. I love just being in the same space with someone. And the idea of bringing the workshops online, I was like, how am I going to be able to bring that same energy? Well, finally, over the past month and a half, I sat down and I just said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to bring the same energy that I do in a real studio class, and I'm just going to say it to the camera, and I'm going to film this exactly that's coming from my heart, because I know it worked. And I'm so proud of the course that I put together. Like, it's amazing. And so, yeah, I sat down to film it, and then I edited it, and then, I put all of the work and love into it, and I released it into the world. And I'm so happy, because that is another sort of abundant thing I put so much work into, and now it lives online, and people can come and benefit from it. Like, the course was set up, actually the first course ever was called Photography for Cool Moms, because I had moms that were my clients and, shooting family photos, and they would come to me, oh, would you take like an hour to teach me how to use my fancy expensive camera? And I didn't have the time. So what I did was book out my studio and have 12 women come, and for 3 hours I would just explain, like, very like your best friend teaching you photography, like really just like making it really easy to understand. And everyone would bring their cameras, then we could shoot a little bit, and it was just such a fun, creative thing for women to experience. And so now I've transitioned to that, to online, and it just opens up so much more opportunity for, like, instead of me being in person, you can kind of log in and just, access the same amazing information online. So it's just, tapping into a global market, the not having to be there. That's all sort of wound up in abundance. And for me, a huge expander for me in that world are 2 women from Winnipeg. One is Ashley Wood and the other one is Vanessa Kunderman, and they both run online businesses. And so I kind of look to them for inspiration and expansion in that realm. So yeah, and it's so cool too. Like, it just makes me so happy to be able to give that gift to someone, to sign up and then feel like, it's not like they have to buy another camera. They've got this camera that they don't know how to use at home, and they get to learn how to make the best of it. And, from the course itself, I've had, like, many people go on to become, like, amazing photographers, like successful, creating their own businesses and doing it that way. So it's been abundant in more than just financial. It's been abundant in like blessings and watching people go on to accept their own creativity, you know, and then share that with the people that in their lives. Like, how cool.
So a theme that has come up in this conversation has been how fear and resistance being that negative force in that world that keeps us from fulfilling our dreams, how fear and resistance kind of kept you stuck for a while. What advice would you give to a listener listening to this conversation that are stuck, that are, whether they be stuck in fear or in resistance? What advice would you give them to help them move forward on their path?
Well, I think the first is something that people never say, but just like to give yourself grace and to be kind to yourself, because making a change that's scary is scary. And, you know, on some of the things that maybe need to shift in your life don't happen overnight. So reach out and talk to a trusted friend, talk to a therapist. Like that's what really helped me move through some of the blockages that I was trying to sort out in my life. And it was such a gift. And then when you are ready, just like, or when you're going through that sort of phase of processing what that might look like, and even just entertaining the idea of working through your fear and maybe shifting, like just consider the idea of what is worse. Is the idea of staying in the same spot forever, like, is that more appealing, or is regret more appealing? You know, like I think that when you consider we're all, you know, this is such a like I don't want to say negative thing, but it's the truth is that we're all, you know, dying, and we're gonna die at some point. Yep. So, you know, like if we get lucky enough to live to 80 or 90 or 100, whatever that looks like, you know, wouldn't it be such a shame to look back and have regret rather than being like, I tried, or, you know, so I don't know, that's kind of my outlook on things. And maybe my perspective is skewed because I feel like I made it huge shifts in my life to allow for all of this to unfold for me. But who's to say that it couldn't happen to you, you know, like who's to say that like you don't create the most, you know, beautiful life for yourself. I think it's absolutely possible. You know.
No, thank you for that. And that brings us to our final two questions that we like to ask every guest. And you've kind of hinted at one of these questions, and that is examining our 85-year-old life. So I'm going to fast forward us into the future, and we're going to be alongside an 85-year-old Monique Pantel. Who are you? Where are you? Who are you surrounded by? And what is the legacy that you've left on this earth?
What a question. That's like big. I feel like you could have a podcast episode on just that. Well, I'm for sure gray because they're already popping through. I have gray hair. I think I've probably got the same hairstyle. It's like medium long gray hair. I'm wearing like flowy white linen. Where am I? I don't know. Maybe I'm in Panama at my women's artist residency. But I'm likely surrounded by like beautiful family and my friends. I've always joked that I'd like hope to create a space where, you know, life happens and people lose their partners, and, you know, life shifts and people get sick, and, you know, like life happens. So I would love to be able to, you know, be surrounded and have a space for people to come and just like stay. I know that sounds so weird, but maybe that's that. The legacy that I would like to create in this world is a focus on like more inclusion, bringing creativity into the world, and just showing it, like being able to shine a mirror back onto people and for them to see their own beauty and their own potential in their life. Like you know, I see it with photography. People don't see how beautiful they are, and what their potential for living a beautiful life that is filled with happiness, you know. So yeah, I think that's what I would really like, is to be able to, yeah, be that mirror that just, you know, shines a reflection back on people, and have them sort of be illuminated to this idea that everyone is beautiful and we all have gifts to share in this world, and it can look different for everyone, but that does exist in everyone. With my gray hair and my linen, my like flowy linens.
Mhm.
And I'm surfing for sure. I'm surfing with Noah, who would be, oh my gosh, he would be like 50 years old.
Beautiful. So I want you to stay with this 85-year-old Monique Pantel for a moment longer. That long gray hair in her linens and artist residency, surrounded by loved ones and people that you inspire, and that is inspiring you back in return. I want you to feel this 85-year-old in your heart, and I'm going to bring us back to the present day. And that 85-year-old woman, she sends you a message. What does she whisper in your ear?
Good job. You're doing it right. Yeah,
Beautiful.
I think just like really, I think she'd be like, you fucking got this. You're doing it. You're doing it. You fucking got this. You got this, babe.
She's
Hell
so
yeah.
proud.
It's so funny. Yeah, it's just like, you're doing it.
And to close this conversation up, through all the highs and lows that is this life journey, what is the greatest life lesson that you've learned on your path that you feel called to share with us and the listeners right here and now?
Oh, that your intuition is so much more wise than you are. And to listen. Yeah, like listen to that voice. If you have a voice, you know, everyone has it, but just to connect with it and really listen about your happiness and the things that bring you joy into your life, and to honor your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Hugely.
Well,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for your time. This is a bit of a shorter episode since we had some technological problems, which I can understand. You're out in the middle of the jungle, which means we'll just have to do this again. Bianca, any last
Part
closing
two.
word? Part two.
Part two, baby.
Bianca, any closing words on this episode?
Well, thank you. That I feel inspired. So I hope that the people listening feel inspired too. Personally, this was a really good reminder of the power of manifesting things on a new moon. I'm taking note of that also. And just thank you for sharing your beautiful energy with us today, and reminding us to take that leap of faith, and that we can create anything we want. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you,
So
Bianca. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you, Monique. And for people wanting to connect with you, they could find you on Instagram at Monique_Pantel, or at Women's Photo Workshops on Instagram as well, where you'll have links to all the things that you are passionate about. And people can use the code Winner Circle to save 15% off that online photo one-on-one course that we talked about on today's episode. Any last things from you, Monique?
No, I just want to say thank you so much for having me and taking the time to chat. It's so nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
It's been so long. And yeah, it's just to have an extra room to stay. If you'd like to come to Panama and surf and enjoy the most like raw, secluded jungle, please come, because I would love to have you.
Amazing. Let's bring our fist in for the Winner Circle.
Woo!
The choice that we could all make. Boom.
Boom.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. Blessings to you all.
Thank you.